Welcome to the studios of WCMU Public Media. This time it's a matchup between DeWitt and Traverse City Central. That is coming up next. Hello again, everyone. I'm David Nicholas, and welcome to Quiz Central. This time, students from DeWitt are taking on the team from Traverse City Central. This is a 16-team single elimination tournament. Top teams from Quiz Central will qualify for the NAQT High School National Championship Tournament. Let's get to today's game. Our first round is the Maroon and Gold Rush. Teams will have 2 minutes to answer as many toss-up questions as they can. If a team answers incorrectly, the opposing school has an opportunity to answer that question. Teams may not consult during this round. New this year, players will receive a 1-second penalty if they ring in before a toss-up question has been read completely. That's indicated by an orange light that will appear above their name. Answers are worth 10 points apiece. There is no deduction for incorrect answers. If all of our players are ready, get those buzzers set, and here comes your first question. What term that describes laws mostly repealed in 594 BC by Solon refers to an Athenian lawmaker whose legal code carried many severe punishments?
Draconian.
That is correct. In 1811, what Catholic priest delivered the Cry of Dolores, which sparked Mexico's War of Independence from Spain?
Our Lady of Guadalupe.
That is incorrect. Traverse City, do you have a guess?
Juarez.
Incorrect. What title character washes bottles at Mr. Murdstone's warehouse, marries Agnes Wickfield, and foils Uriah Heep in a novel by Charles Dickens?
Oliver Twist.
Is incorrect. DeWitt?
Nicholas Nickleby.
Also incorrect. A dark surface region called Galileo Regio is found on what largest Galatian moon, which has its own magnetic field?
Titan.
Incorrect. DeWitt, do you take a stab?
Io.
Incorrect. What king of Phrygia kindly took care of the drunk satyr Silenus, which caused Dionysus to bless him with a touch that could turn anything into gold?
Midas.
That is correct. And that signals the end of that round. Off to a start. DeWitt and Traverse City Central both tied at 10. Before we meet the players competing today, let's fill you in with the correct answers to questions that were missed in that first round. That Catholic priest we needed was Hidalgo de Garcia. The character in the Dickens novel was David Copperfield. And the moon with its own magnetic field, we were looking for Ganymede. Now, before we start our next round, let's learn some more about our students competing today. First, we say hello to the team from DeWitt.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I'm a junior at DeWitt, and I run cross country, and I'm in the marching band.
Hi, I'm Callan. I'm a senior for DeWitt, and I play the trumpet in band.
My name is Tim. I am a senior at DeWitt. I play snare drum in the marching band, and I'm on the swim team.
Hi, I'm Jay. I'm a sophomore at DeWitt, and I also play snare drum in the marching band.
Thanks, DeWitt. Good to have you here. Let's learn a little bit more of our students here today from Traverse City Central.
I'm Neil Ostialo. I'm a junior at Traverse City Central High School, and I'm 6'5".
I'm Henry. I'm a senior at Traverse City Central, and I play the oboe and the clarinet.
I'm Arthur Lieski Lee. I'm a senior at Traverse City Central High School, and I'm co-captain of the debate team.
My name's Dawson. I'm a senior at Traverse City Central. I run track and I'm part of the pickleball club.
A big thank you to all of our students. Now moving on to the next round in Quiz Central, and that is the kickoff round. The kickoff round includes a combination of toss-up and bonus questions. The team that correctly answers the toss-up will get the opportunity to answer a single bonus question. A missed toss-up can be stolen by the opposing team. A correct answer on a toss-up allows for a single follow-up bonus question. There's no stealing on the bonuses. After a bonus question, we'll go back to a toss-up for both teams. Remember, players will receive a 1-second penalty if they ring in before a toss-up question has been read completely. If you've got your buzzers ready, here comes that first question. Toss-up for both teams. The haka is a ceremonial performance in the culture of what people who are indigenous to New Zealand?
Maori.
That is correct. Bonus question for Traverse City. What state is home to Mount Katahdin, the northernmost point on the Appalachian Trail, and the town of Bar Harbor, which is near Acadia National Park?
Maine.
That is also correct. Toss-up for both teams. What man survived being shot in 1981 by John Hinckley Jr., who tried to kill him to impress actress Jodie Foster?
Reagan.
That is correct. Bonus question for DeWitt. In 2025, special elections took place in what state to fill House seats vacated by Matt Gaetz and Mike Waltz, who were nominated for cabinet positions?
Minnesota.
Incorrect. Toss-up for both. What opera composer depicted Manrico being saved from execution in Il Trovatore and was an Italian who wrote about Violetta Valere in La Traviata?
Verdi.
That is correct. DeWitt with a bonus. What Belgian surrealist painting, Golconda, depicts nearly identical men in bowler hats raining down from the sky?
What?
It's Belgian.
Belgian. No answer.
Okay. Toss up for both teams. In what sport, whose legends have included Shane Warne and Sachin Tendulkar, do bowlers try to take wickets from batsmen who use flat-fronted bats?
Cricket.
That's correct. Bonus question for DeWitt. What element isolated by Carlo Perrier and Emilio Sagre has a name denoting that it was the first element to be produced artificially?
Technetium.
What?
Technetium.
Defer.
Technetium.
Correct.
Nice, man.
Back to a toss-up for both. What girl who hides a parrot in a chimney and uses telekinesis to scare Mrs. Trunchbull is a brilliant title character of a novel by Roald Dahl?
Matilda.
That is correct. Bonus question for DeWitt. What Canadian athlete was named the NBA's MVP in the 2024-25 season when he led the Oklahoma City Thunder to a title?
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
That is correct. Toss-up for both teams. What quantity adds up to 0 at any circuit node according to Kirchhoff's junction rule and equals voltage over resistance in Ohm's law?
Current.
That is correct. And a bonus for Traverse City Central. Jacques Cartier was the first European to map what gulf whose waters flow into the Atlantic through the Strait of Belle Isle and the Cabot Strait.
Hudson Bay.
Incorrect. Back to a toss-up for both teams. What city is overlooked by Montjuic Hill, contains the Park Güell, and is the capital of Catalonia, and is the second most populous city in Spain?
Barcelona.
That is correct. Bonus for Traverse City Central. What country where Chevron drills in the Tengiz oil field near the Caspian Sea is a Central Asian nation led by Kazmin Jomart Tokayev from Astana?
Kazakhstan.
That is correct. And the bonus, toss up for both. What American artist who included a green fire hydrant in Early Sunday Morning depicted 4 people in a corner diner in his painting Nighthawks?
Hopper.
That is correct. And the bonus for Traverse City, in 1170, Thomas Becket was serving in what highest religious office in England when he was murdered by knights acting on behalf of King Henry II?
Archbishop of Canterbury.
That is also correct. Toss up for both teams. What ruler who was succeeded by Fyodor I ordered the Oprichniki to sack Novgorod, and was the Tsar of Russia, nicknamed for his fearsome demeanor?
Ivan the Terrible.
Correct. Bonus for Traverse City Central. What author described a besieged city in his book Sevastopol Sketches and portrayed a woman's affair with Count Vronsky in the novel Anna Karenina?
Tolstoy.
Tolstoy.
Also correct. And that signals the end of the round. And we have a score currently, Traverse City Central 100, DeWitt 70. Good close game. Good job so far, players. Well done. Let's take a quick look back and answer the questions that were missed. The state holding the election to fill Matt Gaetz' seat, that was Florida. The Belgian painter depicting bowler hats was René Magritte. And finally, the body of water we needed was the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Our next round today is the Perfect 10. In the Perfect 10, you'll have 60 seconds to answer questions from a choice of clues to 3 categories. The opposing team will have 30 seconds to answer any unasked, incorrect, or skipped questions. You can consult throughout the entire round, and we'll take the answers from the captain. The team that's trailing gets the first choice to pick a clue to the category. All right, we'll start this Perfect 10 round with DeWitt. You get the first crack at these 3 categories: Italian music terms, the head and neck, or animal terms.
What? Music? Okay.
Yeah.
Italian music terms, please.
Right? And the clue to this category for Italian music terms: give these musical terms derived from Italian, none of which refer to tempos. Okay, musical terms derived from Italian, none of which refer to tempos. And we start with the highest vocal part in a standard SATB chorus.
Soprano.
Brass instrument with a long slide.
Trombone.
To play strings by plucking.
Pizzicato.
Pizzicato.
To play softly, abbreviated P.
Piano.
Smaller, higher-pitched version of a flute.
Piccolo.
Piccolo.
To gradually get louder.
Crescendo.
Crescendo.
Music for unaccompanied chorus.
Solo.
Sure.
Solo.
7-letter honorific for a conductor or composer.
Director.
Director.
To play notes in a connected style, unlike staccato.
Legato.
An unaccompanied section in which a soloist demonstrates their skill, as in a concerto. Time gets the end of that round. Okay, Traverse City Central. Again, it's Italian music terms, and you have 30 seconds to see which ones you can pick up. We start with music for unaccompanied chorus.
Hymn.
The 7-letter honorific for a conductor or composer.
Maestro.
Maestro.
Is correct. Finally, an unaccompanied section in which a soloist demonstrates their skill, as in a concerto.
Defer to Arthur.
Cadenza.
That is correct. 140 to 120 currently. The only question missed there was music for unaccompanied chorus, and that answer we were looking for, a cappella. Traverse City Central, we will give you then your choice from the head and neck or animal terms.
Could we have head and neck, please?
Yes, you can. For the category the head and neck, this clue, answer the following about the head and neck. The following about the head and neck. Sense relayed from the nose through olfactory nerves.
Smell.
Bones also called the mandible and maxilla.
Jaw.
Facial structures whose outer edges are marked by the vermilion border.
Cheekbones. Cheekbones.
Fleshy structure that prevents food from entering the windpipe.
Epiglottis.
Defer to Dawson.
Epiglottis.
That is correct. Lymphoid organs with adenoid and palatine types.
Tonsils.
Tonsils.
Correct. Veins in the neck that drain blood from the head.
Jugular.
Fluid surrounding the brain that is collected in a spinal tap.
Defer to Dawson.
Amniotic fluid.
Correct. Lobe of the and time. Through a good chunk of those. We'll head over to DeWitt. You have 30 seconds to pick up on the ones that were answered incorrectly and perhaps finish out the category. Facial structures whose outer edges are marked by the vermilion border.
Eye sockets.
Incorrect. Excuse me. Fluid surrounding the brain that is collected in a spinal tap.
Defer to Jay.
Cerebrospinal fluid.
That's correct. Lobe of the cerebrum that processes vision. Time. That was going to be the occipital. Now let's take a look at the answers both teams missed. The facial structures we needed were the lips and the lobe of the cerebrum that processes vision. That was the occipital lobe. Traverse City Central now at 170, DeWitt 150. A good close game as we move on to the home stretch. The home stretch is a round that includes a combination of toss-up and bonus questions. A team that correctly answers the toss-up, they get an opportunity to answer a single bonus question. A missed toss-up can be stolen by the opposing team, and a correct answer on a toss-up allows for a single follow-up bonus question. No stealing after the bonuses, and after the bonus question, we will go back to a toss-up for both teams. Players will receive a 1-second penalty if they ring in before a toss-up question has been read completely. Buzzers ready, players. Here comes the first question. The Final Caprice by what violin virtuoso inspired a set of 24 variations in a Rhapsody by Sergei Rachmaninoff?
Paganini.
That is correct. Bonus question for DeWitt. What particle discovered by James Chadwick is composed of 1 up and 2 down quarks, has a 0.1% more mass than a proton, and has 0 charge?
Neutron.
That's also correct. Toss up for both teams. What party led by Cyril Ramaphosa lost its majority in South Africa's parliament in 2024 for the first time in 3 decades?
African National Congress.
That is correct. Traverse City Central's bonus. What video game company, once known as Jellyvision, created the games Madverse City, Trivia Murder Party, and Fibbage for their namesake party packs?
Jackbox.
Jackbox.
That is correct. Toss up for both teams. What Southern Baptist minister advised 13 U.S. presidents and hosted many namesake evangelical crusades?
Fred Phelps.
That is incorrect.
Smith.
Also incorrect. Toss up for both teams. What officer commanded the 7th Cavalry Regiment when he was defeated in 1876 by Crazy Horse's army at the Battle of Little Bighorn, his last stand?
Custer.
That is correct. Bonus for DeWitt. What group, which organized the 1976, 1980, and 1984 presidential debates, succeeded the suffragist lobby, NAWSA, after the 19th Amendment was ratified?
Sure. Seneca Falls.
Incorrect. Toss up for both. In what city did Comptroller Brad Lander call for the resignation after a September 2024 federal criminal indictment of Mayor Eric Adams?
New York.
That is correct. Bonus for Traverse City. In what people's mythology did the hero twins overthrow the lords of the underworld, Shibboleth?
Mayan.
That's also correct. Toss up for both. What quantity, which is measured at the meniscus, is the namesake for flasks, is inversely proportional to pressure in Boyle's law and has units of liters?
Volume.
Correct. Bonus for DeWitt. What Venetian woman who loses a handkerchief with a strawberry pattern is suffocated to death by her husband in William Shakespeare's Othello?
It starts with B. Name starts with B. It's Bianca.
Incorrect. Toss up for both as we go back to that. What country, which worked to repay creditors after 2005 and 2010 credit swaps, pushed its claim to the Falkland Islands under Christina Kirchner?
Argentina.
That's correct. Bonus for Traverse City Central. What novel, which is narrated by Chief Bromden and centers on a rebellious Randall McMurphy, takes place in a mental institution and is by Ken Kesey?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That is correct. Toss up for both schools. From 1969 to 2004, Yasser Arafat was chairman of what organization whose largest faction is Fatah?
Palestinian Authority.
Correct. Bonus for Traverse City. What molecule that has minor and major grooves running along its sugar phosphate backbone had its structure studied by Rosalind Franklin?
DNA.
Yeah.
DNA.
Also correct. Back to our toss-up. The towering endless column was designed by what Romanian sculptor who represented the essence of flight in his bird in space sculptures? Time. Next question. What monarch, whose legendarily wielded the sword Joyeuse, was the son of Pepin in the short, who ruled as king of the Franks in the late 8th century?
Charlemagne.
That's correct. Bonus for Traverse City. A form of cellular movement is named after what single-celled protozoans that extend parts of their cytoplasm called pseudopodia?
Amoebas.
Amoeba.
Correct. And the end of that round. Currently, Traverse City Central holds a lead, 270 to 190. Before we start our last round of the game today, let's look back at the questions that were missed. That Southern Baptist minister who advised 13 U.S. presidents, that was Billy Graham. The group who organized presidential debates was the League of Women Voters. The Venetian woman who loses a handkerchief with a strawberry pattern was Desdemona. The Romanian sculptor who designed the towering endless column was Constantin Bricuș. Teams, that brings us to the final round of the day, and that is the final countdown. Teams will have 2 minutes to answer as many toss-up questions as they can. If a team answers incorrectly, the opposing team has an opportunity to answer the question. Teams may not consult during this round. New this year, remember, players will receive a 1-second penalty if they ring in before a toss-up question has been read completely, and that will be indicated by an orange light above their name. Answers are worth 10 points apiece, no deduction for incorrect answers. If all of our players are ready, here comes the first question. What author of The Passions of the Soul also wrote the Meditations on First Philosophy, where his doubts led him to write, I think, therefore I am?
Voltaire.
Incorrect.
Descartes.
That's correct for Traverse City. What future Georgia congressman and leader of SNCC was the youngest speaker during the 1963 March on Washington?
John Lewis.
That is correct. In 1959, Tony Hoare invented what algorithm which uses a pivot element to partition a list and is a sorting algorithm named for its speed?
Binary sort.
Incorrect. DeWitt with the guess?
Fast.
Also incorrect. Next question. John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men takes its title from a line in what Scottish poet's work, To a Mouse?
Burns.
Correct. What island contains the city of Papeete, hosted surfing events during the 2024 Summer Olympics, and is the largest island of French Polynesia?
Tahiti.
That's correct. What man who names a thought experiment in which a demon violates the second law of thermodynamics collected a set of equations of electromagnetism? Yes,
Maxwell.
that is correct. What country, which was granted land east of the line created by the Treaty of Tordesillas, sponsored the explorers Pedro Cabral and Vasco da Gama?
Portugal.
Correct. End of the round. We wind up with a final score: Traverse City Central 310 and DeWitt 210. Congratulations to Traverse City Central. Well, before we end our show and game for today, let's get an answer to that one missed question. The algorithm that uses a pivot element was quicksort. Thanks for joining us this time. We'll see you right back here next week for another Quiz Central competition. Have a good night, everybody, and thanks for watching.